Power scaling must be consistent. Power scaling must be consistent within the story. Power scaling must be consistent with the fans. If power scaling is not consistent, then the story will not make sense. There are many ways to scale a character. Using two main ways, the most common, is feats and statements. Feats is what you have done, what can be shown. Statements is what is said and what is implied. Statements is where you will get your low balls, mid balls, and high balls as well. The community has evolved to include these as statements such as infinite and any of the omnis have also been included. These words also should be involved, but it must be involved in an interpretation in a way that will be consistent with the story. There are many ways of calculating exactly where someone is, and there are many ways to actually get exactly the calculations of what somebody needs and what arguments should be used and should not be used. Unfortunately, not all stories stay consistent. There are exclusions and exceptions that must be made because the story demands it. And as a community, we must accept these as well. For they have been written, they have been stated, they have been said. Powers, or hacks, are all going to be in hacks. Usually, it doesn't really matter if it's magical or if it's metabolic, if it's body, if it's spirit, if it's other dimensions or whatever. Usually, it can be quantified, and it has to be quantified. And it will fall under this one little area. For outliers, plot-induced stupidity, these will simply have to be acknowledged. They must be given a place either to be used or to be laughed at. But they exist. Here are some examples. If everyone on the left beat everyone on the right in the first arcs of the stories, would that make sense? No. If Maul beat Palpatine, where does the story go? Now we know Episode 1, Obi-Wan can beat Palpatine. That makes no sense. If Ichigo slaughters Yuha from Arc 1, that makes no sense. That means the Gote never really had a problem with Yuha. All of it was just in their heads. This blood war was just a hypothetical that never came to be. If Krillin kills Frieza, the entirety of why Dragon Ball was so successful is now in the dump. If Green Lantern killed Doomsday, what was the point of Superman and the Justice League? There is none. If the ODST went up to a key mine or a grave mine and they just shot it down as if it was a side quest, it would greatly diminish the cosmic horror that is implied in Halo and dumb down the precursors and the forerunners, as they simply are pushovers if this happens. If Kratos did not go through all the trials and was still able to kill Zeus, then the story of God of War does not make sense. It got so bad that there's even bingos about anti-power scaling. And now for a demonstration. This is in Clash Royale. And I'm specifically talking about this one right here. See how my deck is more leveled, is on paper stronger than this guy's deck. But I lost. This isn't necessarily an anti-feat, but more context would be required. As there was enough damage to my tower, and I couldn't get enough to his, obviously, in the time. And why? Well, outside of not doing enough damage, I had bad placement, despite my high level. I didn't have a good tank. My buildings didn't put enough weight on him to be much of a factor. He always had the chance to get 4 hogs onto my tower. I could never get my Inferno Dragon on his. E-Wiz wasn't strong enough to take out his guards. And I didn't do enough damage, because I didn't have enough elixir, with my Firecracker. My goblins don't do enough damage so that I can push back. The only reason why I'm still in the game is because of my level. Not because of synergy, not because it's a good deck, not because I'm making some 400 IQ plays, and not because he doesn't screw up either. He just threw arrows onto my tower, and he didn't do all that much damage. Clearly, I'm not fighting, somebody at 10,000 trophies. I screwed up. And if you run into somebody with a really good deck, well then, you're going to end up like this. As here, everything was so much harder. Not only did I have bad rotation, and I didn't have enough damage, but I also didn't have that level advantage. Not everything was squishy, and I paid for it. There is something you can actually say for the buildings and for the E-Wiz, but it really isn't going to get me too far. And he has enough health, and he has enough damage on his troops that he simply melts my towers. That is also taken into account for power scaling.